Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Malraius's Musings, and this is Malraius, armed with the handmade crucifix by my alter ego Cerebro, who is the more holy side of Malraius, if you will. Alas, we have another episode where I feel like I need to touch on some religious issues, like subjects. Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein. We were talking about that last night. This is a movie that it has some religious subtext to it. Like the Frankenstein monster, gets basically crucified and comes back up from that. There's other YouTube videos out there that talk about that particular subject better, so I was reluctant to even bring it up. But then I thought, well, why don't you just cover the greater religious undertones of the universal monster universe? And, Frankenstein, not just the imagery of, what I just said about him being crucified and coming back in the bride, but, even Jesus himself is talked about as a body, many parts coming together. You have the bride of Christ, the bride of Frankenstein. There's kind of a correlation. And the whole idea of life from death in the life cycle, is a very Christian idea, and it's also a very religious idea from time immemorial. Dracula, Jesus had this sacrament of eating his flesh and drinking his blood. And we see how vampires are a perversion of that. And of course, what's the strongest weapon against a vampire? A crucifix or holy water or things of that nature. So I think it's interesting, the religious subtext to the Universal monster movies. We did already talk about, what was it? Gilman and that the opening to that movie. So instead of focusing on just that particular scene in The Bride of Frankenstein, where we see the crucifixion and resurrection portrayed through the monster, I figured, why don't I just take a step back and go, well, there's actually quite a few things in the Universal monster movie that, undertones, especially when you get to the Wolfman, Dracula, and Frankenstein. Those have a lot of religious subtext to them. I'll see you on the flip side.